Hi, Damien Mears here. Last weekend I used the Amazon Smart Home Skill Kit to create a skill that lets me turn on and off various different devices at home. I have some Z-Wave or Z-Wave devices. And so what I thought I'd do today is just walk through, starting from scratch, creating that kind of a skill, so a skill that lets you control your home, a smart home skill. And what it's going to do is let me turn off my monitor of my computer screen. So it's going to be very simple. This is live coding, so there'll be things that I don't remember how I actually did last time. I'll kind of have to rediscover how to do them, so bear with me. I just thought I'd start with the big picture of what's involved in doing this. So the first thing you'll need to do is define Amazon Smart Home Skill, and I'm going to start from scratch, literally on most of this stuff, so I'll walk through this. When you define your skill, you define two things. You define how the user authenticates on their phone. So using the Alexa app on their phone, they'll need to log in to your skill. So if it was I don't know, your Philips Hue or something like that, you'll need to kind of identify yourself so that you can control your particular home. And then you also define the skill that actually handles the commands. So what we'll be doing is defining the skill first. Then we'll be defining a AWS Lambda, which is a piece of code that runs in the cloud. If you don't know what this stuff is, I recommend kind of doing a little bit of research first. So AWS Lambda is a small function that runs in the code in the cloud, and what that'll do is respond to the authentication request from the client, from the app. And in order to receive the request from the app actually uses HTTPS. So I'm going to use the AWS API Gateway, which is a way of defining essentially web endpoints that can be used to invoke a Lambda. So that's going to be kind of handling the authentication request, and I'm going to do a very simple hard-coded authentication mechanism because this is just to try it out, at home for yourself. So once we've got that flow running, so to let the user authenticate and essentially log into your skill, we're going to then go on to the other side of things. We're going to define a second Lambda which receives the requests from the Amazon Echo. So when I say Alexa, turn off my computer screen, it's going to go to here, and then that's going to in turn relay the request over to a program running on my computer, which is then going to actually turn off the monitor. So the things we're going to do, we're going to define the OAuth handler, we're going to set up the API gateway, we're going to update this OAuth handler to actually handle the requests, we're going to create this skill, and we're going to update this create this Lambda and update the skill to talk to it, and then we're going to make this Lambda respond to requests. So there's going to be a device discovery request from the Amazon Echo. What devices do you have? And it's going to say I have a computer screen, because this demo screen, a skill that I'm going to create, is going to let me turn off my monitor. And so it's going to say I've got a computer screen, and then when I say Alexa turn off my computer screen, it's going to then relay that command over to a program running on my computer, and I'm going to use the Amazon Simple Queue service to do that. And then finally, the program running on my computer is going to turn off my monitor. So that's the overall flow. Like I said, bear with me as I work out how to do things a second time. Even though I only did it last weekend, I'm sure I've forgotten a lot of stuff. So you'll see me kind of discovering it anew. In order to get started, so I'm going to be doing all this in Visual Studio using C#. There is no documented way of creating Amazon Echo smart home skills using .NET and C#. So we'll be kind of working out how to do that as well as we go along. So my starting point is this program that lets me, if I run it, will turn off my computer screen. So I'm not going to run it, but that's my starting point. I have also installed the Amazon AWS Toolkit for Visual Studio. So if I go to AWS Toolkit for VS 2017, you'll see there's a currently in preview, maybe by the time you're reading this it's no longer in preview, a plugin for Visual Studio. And once you've installed that and you go to Visual Studio, then under under View, you'll see AWS Explorer is here. So this is the AWS Explorer, and you'll need to set up a profile. As you install it, it'll kind of walk you through setting up a profile. But let's just look at that now. If I go to I'm going to go to the AWS Management Console. So if you haven't got one account already, you can do that. It's free to kind of install. Just to let you know, I think my smart home skill, I've run up 4 cents in terms of charges, so not a lot of money. Can't guarantee that if you don't screw up, you're not going to, it's not going to cost a lot. But you can set up warnings. In principle, it should cost nothing, if not, cents to do this. But it's your own responsibility. I'm not taking responsibility for you racking up charges if you make a mistake. But like I said, I don't think there's much chance of that. So I'm going to sign into the AWS console because I already have an account. I strongly recommend that you use two-factor authentication. So I'm going to enter my two-factor code. In fact, on pretty much everything that you can possibly set it up. My code's just about to expire, so I'll wait a second for it to refresh. 349756. So there's loads of services, in AWS. Some I'm familiar with, others I'm not. But I want to just show you how you kind of configure this profile in the AWS Explorer. So what you'll need to do is go to the IAM service, Identity and Management Service, or something like that. Identity and Access Management, there we go. You go to Roles, and you create yourself a new role. Nope, is it Roles? No, I don't think it's Roles, it's Users. Sorry, go to Users, and create yourself a new user. I'm just going to call it TMP. You should call it something else. And it's going to be Programmatic Access. Next, permissions, I'm going to say I want to allow admin so I can do everything. I create the user, and then I have an access key and a secret key. So if I go back to my AWS, as you said, install it, it'll ask you to for the access key and secret, but otherwise I would call it I don't know, default or whatever I wanted to. The access key I would copy from here, and the secret key I would copy from here if I was to show it, and then I would be able to do it. Now I've done this already, and so that's how I have this default account set up. And I'm talking to the US East region, so just make sure you're always using the same region everywhere. Okay, let's close this and let's delete that account that the user that I created. So that's the first thing, is kind of setting up Visual Studio. And once you've done that, you can explore and see everything that's there. The other thing you're going to need is the developer services account. So go to developer.amazon.com and create an account if you don't have one already. Obviously I do have one already, so I'm going to sign in. So this is kind of separate from the AWS side of things. And here you can go to Alexa and get started with your skills. I've got a couple of skills I've already created, including the one I created last weekend. So let's start off. I'm going to create my new skill, and it's a smart home skill, and it's in English, and I'm going to call it monitor off. Yeah, that'll do as a name. If I was using a custom skill here, I'd be kind of defining the interaction model, all the things that I can do with it, but there's nothing to do there, so all the things I could say, but it's in this one it's already set up. So here I need to say I need to give my endpoint. So this is where things start to become more involved. So let's go back to my list of steps. So I'm going to start off by creating this empty OAuth handler. So let's go to Visual Studio, and I've just got a simple project I created. It's a console application, and what I'm going to do is add an AWS Lambda. So I define it here, and then I push it up into the cloud. So let's go to Add New Project, and I want to create myself an AWS Lambda project, and we're going to call it Monitor of Auth Lambda. So this is the one that's going to be handling the authentication requests. Create an empty function. And so this is what's going to be invoked. This function here is going to be invoked in the cloud when this Lambda is started up. So first thing is that I discovered last weekend that I get all kinds of errors if I say string, because it's trying to convert the input into a string. I'm going to pass it, I'm going to convert it into an object, and we'll just return the same object. just for now. So input, oops. Some kind of error happened. I wonder why it doesn't like that. Oh, it's because it's returning a string. Let's return an object as a result as well. There we go. Let's just build that, make sure it works. So this function is eventually going to be called in response to me authenticating my skill on my phone. So I'm going to have the skill on my phone, and I'm going to say I want to use account linking. So so it's going to be there. So let's deploy that now, just so that it's up there in the cloud. And I'm going to call it monitor off auth Lambda. It's going to the same region using the account that I have already. And the role, I'm going to use the basic execution lambda that's built in, and I'm going to upload that. So now if I go back to here, I can go to my services and go to Lambdas. You'll see lots of different ones I've created over time, but the one I've just created here is my monitor off auth Lambda. So let's go back to the PowerPoint just for a second. So I've created this empty OAuth Lambda. The next thing I want to do is set up my API gateway relay for the OAuth Lambda, so that I can accept HTTP requests into this Lambda. And those are going to be the ones that are sent to authenticate my skill. So let's go back here, and I'm going to go to services, and I've got somewhere here I have API gateway. I think it's something to do with app development, mobile development. No. Let's just search gateway, API gateway. Okay, so we're going to create a new API gateway endpoint, and it's going to be called monitor off, of course. Okay, let's see if I can remember what to do here. We're going to create a method, and it's going to be called okay, the method is going to be, so we're going to I know that as a result of handling the or as a result of the authentication flow, I'm going to need a get method, and I'm going to need a post method. Okay, and it's going to be invoking a lambda. So it's going to, was in USS1, I think it was called, and my lambda is the one I just created. So let's go to the lambdas. I'm just going to open it up in a new tab. So my lambda function name, I'm pretty sure it was called monitor off lambda. There we go. So let's copy that name over, just so I do it right. Do I want proxy integration? Yes, I guess. I don't remember whether I need that or not, but I don't think it'll do any harm. So I need to give some permission to that API gateway to invoke that lambda, which is good. Okay. And do I need to do anything else here? I don't think I need to do anything else here. I'm going to add the post method as well. So let's do that. So add a new method, post. There we go. It does the same thing. Lambda US East 1 monitor off lambda. Okay, so now I have my API gateway that relays HTTP requests over to my lambda. Now let's go back to my skill that I was setting up, and the authorization URL is going to, so now I need this URL. So the next step with the lambda is, with this API gateway, is to deploy it. So let's deploy the API so that it's actually available. I'm going to create a new stage called main stage. So you can have test and prod and so on, various different stages that kind of relay to different lambdas. And this is the invocation API. So let's plug that in here. Authorization and access token. So that'll be, I think this will be the get and this will be the post. And let's just see what happens if I save that. Please provide account linking scope. All this stuff would be much more relevant if I was doing a real kind of commercial skill. Skill is, of course, it's X, Y, Z, Z, Y. ARN. This is the, so this is the ARN for the Lambda that's actually the Lambda that handles the skill. So this one here is all to do with authentication. So let's go back to my Visual Studio and we'll create the second Lambda. So let's add new project, another Lambda, and this one is monitor off handler Lambda. Alright, and it's an empty function. So I have my second Lambda here. Let's deploy that up into the cloud. Off. Role, same again. I think we will define a different role later for the simple queuing surface stuff, but this is good for now. Alright, now if I go to that, let's look and see, can I get the, this is the ARN, this is the ARN for the monitor off handler Lambda. So if I go here, I can paste that in. Let's see what happens now. Invalid ARN, blah 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 blah. Okay, let's go to the console and we'll go to the Lambda management. Let's see if I can get a better one here. Let's try that one there. Maybe I didn't copy it properly, or I don't know. Paste that in. Okay, it says please make sure Alexa Smart Home is selected as an event type for that Lambda. So let's go back to the Lambda here. Triggers. I think it's, let's see if I can do that. I want Alexa Smart Home as the trigger. Application ID. Hopefully I can find that over here. Let's try that. That looks like it might be an application ID. Yay. So that's the plumbing I've got set up. I've defined my Lambda for handling the authentication. I defined my Lambda for handling commands, and I've configured my skill so that where's my skill? I've configured my skill so that it's using those. So this is the Lambda that's that handles the commands, you know, turn device off, turn device on, and these are the API gateway endpoints that relay to a Lambda to handle the OAuth. Let's go to next, and I want to make it available as a skill for testing. Okay, I don't want to publish it yet. Do I want to do anything else? I think that's everything I want to do for now. some point I'm going to need to show my phone screen on this computer, so I'll need to work out how to do that. Let's do I want to do, I think maybe I'm going to pause now and get my phone screen set up, and so you can see the skill is now on my phone, and we can try linking it, doing the authentication, and you'll see that it fails, and we'll be able to look at the logs. So I'll be back in a bit. So I'm back, and I have installed something called Air Server, which lets me display my Android phone on the screen there. So that's what you're seeing. This is the Amazon Echo app on my screen, on my phone. And if I go to skills, I have various different skills set up, and here we have my monitor off skill. And the reason that's there already is because I had this start testing it. So that's there. So what I'm going to do is just try doing this account linking, and obviously it's going to fail because I've got nothing there at all. But what we'll be able to see is my Lambda, the OAuth Lambda, getting invoked and failing miserably, and we'll be able to see the logs associated with that. So if I go to my Lambda here, and this is my, that's a handle Lambda, I'm not interested in that one at the moment, just the OAuth one. And the monitoring. So assuming so we'll be able to review the logs here. Assuming I've set up the API gateway properly, then this will kind of go through to the Lambda. So I'm going to click on enable. Oops, I'm clicked on enable on my skill, and of course it's in internal server or something went wrong. Now let's look at the logs. Actually, the way I do look at the logs generally is using this guy here. What do I do? I don't remember. This is the handle Lambda. Okay, there it is. Here, the auth Lambda. There we go. If I go to logs and refresh, hopefully. There's the log. So that was as a result of me. Oops, it's gone onto the wrong screen. I'll move that over in a second. So basically, nothing happened. I didn't know what to do. So what I'm going to do first is dump out what's returned. So if I go off to this, go to this Lambda here. So it takes as an object as a parameter and returns the object. So let's try doing some console.writeline of the object. No, not object, input, sorry. Tostring. Okay, so let's see what happens when I do that. Let's publish this now. The OAuth Lambda. So I should have said remember. So monitor off auth Lambda, that's the one. Just checking everything looks good. And just wait a second and upload it. Okay, let's delete that log. And now I'm going to go back to here and try enabling account linking again. So again, it's going to fail, but hopefully we'll be able to see the input that the Amazon Echo is sending. So let's open that again. Hopefully it'll read it. So great. So this is the OAuth input request that came in. So what I want to do is turn that into a C# object that I can interrogate, and then I'm going to return an object. So that's JSON. You saw it was JSON. Let's go to my code here, and first thing I'm going to do is pull in NuGet package for handling JSON. You'll never guess which one it is. Yeah, of course you did guess. Okay. I did notice there was a problem when I did this last time to do with the version, because it wanted a later version of .NET Core than AWS supported. So I'm going to install an older version. Hopefully that's going to be old enough that it works. Alright, so now I've got that. The other thing I'm going to do, instead of using console.writeLine, I'm going to use there's a Lambda logging function. I don't remember what it is. Is it Lambda logger? There we go. .log, and let's log input.toString, because I want the JSON without. If you saw the log there, it had the date and time associated with it, or displayed on every line, and I don't want that because I want to convert this JSON into a C# object. So I'm going to run it again. I'm going to deploy it, again. This time logging using the built-in logger. Wait a second, upload. Let's delete the old log. Now let's go back to here. On my phone, enable auth again. Again, it's going to fail. Let's grab the log. This time, hopefully, yeah, there we go. It doesn't have the date and time associated with every line. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to convert it into a C# class. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to Google JSON to C#. And there's a tool I like to use. It's generally not the first result. Here we go. This is this one here, jasonutils.com. Let's paste in the JSON. I'm going to say I want the JSON properties and Pascal case. Let's submit that. So this has generated a set of classes for me. Some of them I want, some of them I don't. Conclude the identity, but the query string I want. What do I want for that? I think the query string parameters I'm going to get as a set of name value pairs, and the same for the headers, a set of name value pairs. So I'm going to copy those into my code, my auth lambda. Okay, let's resolve all those names it doesn't know anything about. So it doesn't know anything about headers, so I'm going to make that a dictionary of strings to strings, string to string, and the same for the query string. Okay, so, and the example isn't a great name, so let's call this HTTP request. And can I just put that now as HTTP request as the input type, or do I have to? Let's just try that. I can't remember if I would need to use JSON convert to output it, but let's just try that. Input dot path, let's say. So this is live coding. I mean, so yeah, like this may fall over, in which case what I'll do is use JSON convert from the Newtonsoft package I installed to convert the string into an object. But let's just try it like this. So I'm going to compile that. Being compiled. Let's deploy it. And upload it when it's ready. Okay. Let's delete the old log. Go back to my phone. Let's try enabling again and see what happens. Okay, that's normal because I've not actually handling the request yet. Let's look at the log. didn't print out the path. Okay, I don't know why. Let's just let me just check to make sure I did the right thing. Did I do the parameter, or did I do the return type? I did the input parameter. Okay, so I'm going to call it an object, and I'm just going to convert it. So let's do a JSON convert. So var request equals JSON. Is it JSON convert? Yeah, it is JSON convert. Dot deserialize object. I'm going to deserialize it into an HTTP request, and it's going to be input dot toString. And let's then put the request path. Hopefully this time it'll work. Okay, let's remove that log, go back to my phone where I can try again. Fails again. Let's refresh the logs, and hopefully this time we'll have the path. No, we don't have the path. Okay, so I'm doing something stupid. You may have seen it already, I don't know. But what I'm going to do is, let's just see if I can see what it is. I can't see what it is. Let's put a exception handler in here, and catch an exception and log it. Okay. Building, deploying. Should have set up that exception handler immediately, because I'm pretty sure they're going to get an exception at some point. Alright, delete the old log. Let's go to my phone. I guess you don't need to see me doing this on my phone every time, but there we go. Just wait for it to fail. Okay. So one thing that may have happened that time, and we'll see, is that it might not have downloaded all the logs. So, I'm going to just refresh. Let's close these off. I'm going to refresh again. So sometimes what happens is you grab the log too soon and it's not been fully written. So let's try it again now. Still nothing. Let's try one more time. So why is it not catching it? So it's not printing out even the error. Curious. Am I doing the right one? This is the auth lambda. This is the request. What am I doing wrong? As far as I can see, nothing at all. How can I test this? What else can I do? So is that possibly it's not being deployed? Or I don't know. How strange. That wasn't what I wanted. So let's refresh one more time, although I suspect I'm wasting my time. Last event was at 12:15. That's the right time. My time. Still nothing here. Is that the path? Maybe that's the. Is that the path? Maybe that's the path. That is a path. It was displaying it properly. So let's go to the Lambda, but I don't, yeah, it's not printing the, it's not doing an environment on new, I don't know, for some reason it doesn't do the new line, so it is working. So let's also just print out, maybe let's print out something else, the method. Is it HTTP method? There we go. Okay. So I'm tempted to put it back in here. I'm going to put it back as the yeah. Let's put it as the import object just to work. And so I can just, in fact, I don't need this anymore. Let's call it request. Let's hope I don't regret this. Maybe it was working before. What I'm assuming is it was working before. What doesn't it like? Oh, it doesn't like the fact it doesn't match. There we go. I'm hoping that before it was working, but I just stupidly didn't see the path there. So the reason I'm doing the method is because this Lambda is going to be called in two different cases. One is for the as part of the OAuth process. There's a kind of a second invocation, and so that's why I'm doing that. I'm looking at the method because this one's a get and the second one is a post. So I'm going back to my phone. I'm going to just try enabling it again. Waiting for it. Okay, you've got the internal server, which is good. So let's refresh. There we have my log. Okay, and the method is get, which is great. So what I'm going to do now is just go to the documentation and look at the documentation for how you handle the OAuth, because I need to return something as a result of this invocation, and in order to do that I basically needed the C# object, and then I can convert it to JSON. So let's go to the skill information. Is it this one? No, it's not this one. Is it? No, it's not that one. It's configuration. So there's some documentation here. So this is the authorization URL where the customer will be directed to enter their credentials. So normally what I should be returning from this get method is a form where the user can enter their username and password. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to essentially return the result of a token, essentially an access token. So let's so I need the documentation. So let's go to learn more here. Was there anything else? So what I'm looking for is the JSON that's returned from that initial invocation. Let's go back to it here. So it's just this authorization URL. So let's have a look. Parameters passed to your authorization URL.
Hi, so I'm back. I did a little bit more digging around, and the first thing I realized is that I need to work out what it is that I can return from my Lambda as a result of this the request that's coming in. So there were two, as I said, two requests that are going to come in. One is to get an access code, and the other one is to convert that access code. So, but the basic question is, what can a AWS Lambda written in C# return from an API gateway request? So let's go to Google and we'll search for API gateway AWS C# Lambda request, and we'll look at that, and we can see that the response is something like this. We have a status code, a dictionary of headers, and a body. So let's go back to my C#, and I'll just plug that in here and import that. Now, what I really don't like using lowercase property names, so we're going to use a JSON property to be able to give proper properties. So I can refer to them using C# standards. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be returning. I'm going to be returning one of these Lambda responses. So So basically, the response. Now, the standard thing that I need to return as a result of one of these is a redirect request. So I'm going to need to basically the body is going to be empty. The status code is going to be redirect. I think 302, and then I need the URL where it's going to go to. So the header dictionary and can I do? So let's build the dictionary as a separate thing. So, what does that header look like? Well, so the header I need to put in is the redirect location. So let's say adding extra headers. Let's see. I don't know how to get the HTTP header. If there's an HTTP header. Response header dot location to string. That's and then the location is going to be redirect URL. Okay, so where does that redirect URL? I'm just going to debug this location just to make sure. Yeah, I don't know if two strings are going to work. Okay, hopefully it will. Otherwise, I think there's an enum property I can use or method I can use. Anyway, so where does this redirect URL come from? Well, basically I need to put into the URL that's redirected to the token. And a state that comes in from the request. And I made the mistake, and I'm going to undo it now. Actually, I don't think I need this identity, so I'm going to delete that. And I'm not sure I actually need any of this. Let's just delete all the request context as well. I can add it back later. But I do need the proper query string. So I'm going to go back to my place where I generated the values. So I could actually just pull so there's a redirect and a state in there. So I think I will. Maybe I'll just keep it as a string. So let's pull this up, go back to here. I'll leave it as a dictionary. And so the redirect URL is going to be the query string's redirect URL. So request so that's the URL, and I need the question mark, I presume. So this is basic old stuff. State equals. That's going to be the state that comes in from the request again. So this is query string. And if we go back here, we can see that it's called state. And I need the final thing I need to do is add the code that the access token code that's going to be returned. So and code equals Okay, so this is OAuth stuff. So if you want to know more, you basically need to go look into the RFC and you can see it. I'm not going to go into details. Obviously, just to be absolutely clear, what I'm doing here is hard coding the code, and this is just to get it working as an example, to do it at home. But if you're implementing this for real, you better make sure you really understand OAuth inside out, and this is not the best practice, should we say. Alright, so headers, so I've got the redirect URL there. So I think I'm good. Well, I'm probably not, there's probably going to be an error. But let's see what happens when I try running this. I'm just going to print out some things. Let's just print out the redirect URL so that I can... actually, I should have printed out the... I'll edit the... Let's use it here, so let's print out the redirect URL. Oh, I've got the response, but I don't think I'm actually doing anything with it. So let's return response. There we go. Okay, that built. Let's try deploying it. Wait for the upload to become active. I'll get my phone ready. Okay, let's remove the old log. Alright, so this time, if I go to my phone, if I enable the skill, well, it'll probably fail again in the same way, but you might see the redirect happening. In which case we'll have a GET request coming in. Okay, internal server, let's see what the logs say. Given key was not present. Okay, so I screwed something up in my code. So I was looking for redirect UI, I was looking for state, and query string parameters. Oh, yeah, of course, when I copied it, I was taking the state from here and the redirect URI. I was taking the C# name rather than the real name of the things. So there we go, redirect URI. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to prefix this with if the request type is a GET. So if request HTTP method. Then I want to do all this, otherwise I'm going to be handling the conversion of the code. Let's just leave all that for now. And I'll make the logging of the method outside of it so that I can always see the method name. Let's build. Okay. Let's deploy. Upload. Okay, let's delete it. The previous log. Okay, I'm going to try enabling the skill. Waiting for something to happen. Message null. That's different. That's good. Different is good. Alright. Let's refresh. And let's look at the log. So it's redirecting. I'm not seeing the post though. Let's look at this redirect URL and see how it looks. State either, okay, I forgot to put the equals after the state, that would That's not good. Let's just check the other thing, the code. Code looks good. So let's go back to here. And state equals. You probably saw that. Alright, now we go through the whole deploy dance. Should set up a whole key to let me deploy. Upload it. Okay, let's delete the previous log. Let's see what weird and wonderful error we get now. I just clicked on the enable. Okay, that's an even better error, I hope. Let's look at the log this time. Okay, I'm still not seeing the post, which I would hope to see. Let's just look and see. The state is there, and the code is there. I'm going to just refresh it to see if the post came later. Yes, it did. So we're on to the second phase now. This is the phase where we essentially convert the code that I returned the first time into an access token that can be used in invocation requests. So let's handle the posts. So the first thing I need to do is find out what I can do with the what I need to return essentially. Okay, so what can I do here? So I need an else obviously. Just going to assume it's a post. So this is going to be taking the code that was passed in and returning a token. So let's look at the RFC. I'm searching for bearer because I know that's part of the return values. Not getting any luck there. Let's go back to this documentation here. So it's a auth code grant, not an implicit grant. I think I'm back in there, trying to find some example of JSON. Trying to find JSON, can't find it. Let's just search for Alexa access token. Aha, here we go. That's what I want. So let's convert this JSON into a class. This is the return value, essentially a body. Not sure what I've got there, that doesn't seem like the thing I copied. Can't be paste. Okie dokie. Let's go to my code now, and I'm going to, this is my access token response. Now you should use exploration, refresh tokens. You know, if you were implementing this for real, you definitely want to. In my case, I don't think I need to, so I'm just going to basically just return a dummy access token. So I want to return new Lambda response. The status code is AOK. Okay. On the body, it's going to be JSON serialization. Serialized of this access token response, and the access token is below there. And the token type is error. Okay. Definitely not best practices. I don't need that else. So let's just remove that. Okie dokie. Let's deploy this. I'm just going to read through it one more time. So Lambda response, everything's okay, and here's the access token. Obviously what I should be doing is verifying all the input. There's all kinds of things I should be doing. Specifically, I should be, even if you're just playing around, I would default put a secret in here and then verify that it's and verify that the secret has been passed in properly. But and maybe also verify the client ID. Anyway, let's publish this, and hopefully I'll now be authenticated as far as the Amazon Echo is concerned, even though this does nothing whatsoever except kind of return the right responses. Okay, I'm just going to go back to my phone. And let's try enabling. Nothing happened. Let's try again. Successfully linked, so there we go. As far as it's concerned, everything is great. Now it wants to send me a discover devices message. Now I'm nowhere near ready to handle that. Let's go to, so that was the authentication Lambda. Now this is the Lambda that's going to be actually handling requests that come in. So let's do what we did before, which is to convert those objects, strings into objects. And let's dump out the request that we receive when it tries to discover the devices. So AWS Lambda logger log input dot toString plus increment.mirror, and we'll return null, which is not going to like, obviously. But let's push this up, and now we'll be able to, we'll see whether or not my skill received its request. Function name is monitor off handler Lambda, that's the one. No logs. Let's do the discover devices on the phone. It's not going to like my response. So you'll see I have actually a lot of different devices at home. I have Philips Hue, Belkin, D-Link, plus my own skill for Z-Wave or Z-Wave. Alright, and let's look at the logs. Oh, so that was the discover devices request that came in with access token. Why, hello there. So that's the request that comes in. Discover appliances request. I'm going to Google that and hopefully find that kind of the complete JSON plus the complete JSON response. Let's try this one. Alright. Now, in terms of the response, I think there's some JSON here. Here we go. We're not going to need much in terms of the generated response. Let's first I'm going to convert that input class or input JSON into a C# class. Okay, here we go. So we've got a header basically and something else. Let's just look at the JSON here. Here we have a header and we have payload. I'm just thinking I just want to define one class, that can be used for both the discover devices response, but also request, but also controlling when I want to actually control things. So the turn on looks like this. We have a header and we have payload. I think I'm going to just copy that one. And we'll see in a second. Sorry, I'm thinking as I'm going along. Okay, let's copy that first and put that into our code. So this is the discovered devices. Oops, I don't want to do that. I just want to look at my function. So this, oops, pasted it in the wrong place. So this is the discover devices. So this is the smart home request. Should we call it smart home request? It has a header and there's no payload there. So what I'm going to do now is go to the invocation that's requested or passed in for a turn on or turn off, and I'll convert that into C# and essentially merge the results. So the request has a payload. That's good to know. Those will just be ignored if they're not. If they're not passed in. Okay, I think this is everything I need. Application. I'm pretty sure I remember not needing the additional appliance details, so let's just leave it like that. So smart home request looks like this. So I can essentially specify that as the input. And I need to spec smart home response. So first of all, let's look at the kind of request it is. So we want to handle first of all the discover devices. So let's so if input dot header dot name, I guess. So we'll look and see what they say in the documentation. So let's go back up to the devices discovery. And this kind of discover appliances request. There we go. So if the name is that, then I need to return a discover appliances response. So what does that look like? That was this long example down here. Let's go to that JSON. Here it is, discovered appliances. Alright, let's convert that into C#. So this is a discover appliances response. And we already have a okay. Discover devices. And I'm gonna, because we already have something called payload, I'm just going to rename it to discover devices response payload. That'll do. Alright. Appliance details again. I'm not going to deal with that. It has a header. Where's the header? Yeah, the header I think I can reuse the same one as before because it's the same message ID, name, namespace, payload version. Yeah, so I can just get rid of that. And I can get rid of the appliance details. Alright. So now I need to return a discovered devices response with the with my one device, which is my computer monitor. In theory, I should be actually passing this request over to my computer to make it handle, and then that's actually what I did with the Z-Wave smart home skill I created. It actually was, the response was generated from the computer because that's where it knows what Z-Wave devices I actually have. So I'm going to return a new discover devices response, a header. I'm going to reuse the input header. I think because there's things like message ID and stuff in there. Payload version, blah blah blah. But I'm going to need to override the header. So actually I'm just going to let me initialize it. Response.header.name equals, let's go to the documentation, and its name is discovered. I'm hoping this message ID should be the same as the incoming one. My incoming message ID, I presume it is. Alright, that's far from enough though. So that's the header. Then we have the payload. Let's go to devices, response payload. That's a list of devices. Alright, let's just leave that like that. And then I'll fit in the discovered appliances down here. Let's call it monitor. Discovered appliance. Alright, so now I need to fit all this information in actions. I don't want increment percentage and stuff like that. I've just got a simple switch. So I just want turn. Actually, yeah, I could just do turn on and turn off. I don't know what's going to happen. I could just do turn off, but I'll do turn on and turn off. Okay, there's the actions. Appliance ID. Oh, let's have a look at the example appliance ID that they give. appliance ID. So my computer monitor. Appliance type. So this is, so we just got one type, and I think it's just the switch. Where are the appliance types? Yeah, there we go, switch. Alright. The friendly description. Oh. Very friendly. Okay. Friendly name. Oh, okay. Bob. It's definitely called Bob. It is reachable. Well, of course it's reachable. Manufacturer name is DRS. Model name is 9000. Version is 1.0. Okay. And now I need to return that response. Why isn't it letting? Oh, it's because I've misspelled response. Alright. Oh, I didn't fill in, put the monitor. Excuse me. Okay, I'm back. So yes, I was just noticing I hadn't put that monitor device into the response. So response dot payload dot discover appliances dot add monitor. Alright. Let's publish this. Is this the right one? Yep. Guess I should be logging something, returning the device, but there we go. Okay, let's get rid of the existing log. Let's go to my phone. So I'm going to try discovering. So there's nothing called Bob or computer monitor there as far as I can see. Sorry, didn't show my phone for some reason. It looks like that's gone away. Okay. So I did actually run it and it worked, but you didn't see that, so I'm going to go to my phone again, and I'm going to say discover. Okay, now let's look and see. There we go, Bob is there. Let's forget him. Forget you, Bob. And just I guess to show that it's not trickery, let's Go back to my Lambda and we'll call it Bobby. Right. And deploy it. Okay, let's go back to my phone. Discover. And there we have Bobby at the top there. Alright, so now it's discovered my one and only device. Now I need to handle requests that are made to it. So let's go back to the documentation again and see what happens when I say to turn it on or turn it off. So on-off messages, here we go. So this is what it looks like. The message name is turn on request or turn off request. So it's got to return the turn on confirmation. Alright. So let's go to my code. Input header name equals turn on request. So I need to return, what do I need to return? Turn on confirmation, which is essentially a kind of a response with no payload and just a header. Let's see. Just thinking if I can reuse a response. Let's just call it, yeah, let's call it a control response. So if I remember correctly, the payload was empty. So it did actually have a set of values. So I'm just going to convert this. Run this around. Let's convert it, and life will be easier. Okie dokie. So we have a header which is just the same as all the other headers, and we have a response, a payload that's blank. No control. What are we looking at here? We're looking at the request. Now I'm looking at the response. So what am I doing? What am I actually doing? I was looking at the wrong thing. Okay, so turn on request looks like this. But I've already got the type defined for that, so I'm good. Let's just double check that. We have payload when we have the appliance in it. Okay. So I guess I should check the device name. What did I call my appliance? My computer monitor. So this is where I need to send a message to my computer to actually turn on or turn off the monitor. But I'll do that in a minute. First of all, I'm just going to make believe that everything's okay. So I'm just going to return, yeah, everything's fine, turned it off, even though I didn't actually do anything, or turned it on. So I need to return I'm going to call it device control response. Actually, so I'm just thinking as I'm going along here. I'm going to call this smart home request and response because I'm going to reuse it. So actually, I need to use it inline so that I can change the name response. So that's going to be header is the request, the input header. Except I'm going to change the name, payload. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. I'm concerned that the payload won't actually be returned. And it looked like it needed to be that, but we'll see. Header name equals the response turn on confirmation. So if this is successful, then I should be able to talk to my Amazon Echo in my room here and tell it to turn on Bobby, turn on request. I think I can just copy paste this and for a turn off essentially. Alright, so the Bobby is the friendly name, the appliance ID is my computer monitor, which I've decided is called Bobby. Alright, let's publish it. And that's going on. I'm going to switch on my, unmute my Amazon Echo. Alright, let's look and see if I've got any logs here. No logs, okay. Oh, we do have some logs, okay, let's get rid of them. Alexa, turn on Bobby.
That command doesn't work on device Bobby.
Huh. Maybe that command doesn't work on device Bobby. That's funny. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
Turn off worked. Alexa, turn on Bobby.
Sorry, I couldn't find a device or group named Buddy and Damien's account.
Wasn't a great name. Alexa, turn on Bobby.
That command doesn't work on device Bobby.
Okay, that's funny. So it works for... Let's just try the off again. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
Turn it off, but I can't turn it on. I wonder why. Maybe I forgot to do something. Let's look at my code. Maybe I didn't do the on and off when I said what it was capable of doing. Turn off and turn off. Haha, there we go. That's why it didn't work. I'll need to do the discovery again. Let's get rid of the logs. Let's go to my phone. Discover the devices. I'm hoping you can hear the Amazon Echo even though I'm using a microphone. Pretty sure you are. Alright, is Bobby there? Bobby is indeed there. Alexa, turn on Bobby.
Okay.
Alexa, turn off Bobby. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
Alright, so that's working now, but it's not actually doing anything, it's just pretending it's turning things on and off. Somehow I need to get from my Lambda here, this code here that's being invoked for turn on and turn off, I need to make this talk to my computer program, my console application. Do you remember that? This console application that I started with to actually turn off the monitor. And there are lots of different ways of doing this. I might use push notifications to my phone. Maybe I could use sockets, who knows, WebSockets. I'm going to use Amazon technology called Simple Queuing Service to do that. So let's just, the last thing before I start doing that is I just want to refresh the logs and see, so we can see the requests that came in. I don't know if, oh, there's nothing actually there. Maybe I'm just not logging anything. Maybe that would explain why I'm not seeing anything in. So that's the authentication Lambda. I do log, but I just log the object, so it's just going to say it's an object. Okay, anyway, it's getting through, so I'm happy with that. So let's go back to AWS, and I'm going to create a simple queuing service to allow me to, looks like I've logged out of my, looks like I logged out of my AWS console, which is a pain. Okay, I'll log back in again. Unless it kept me, no, it didn't keep me logged in. Oh, it did keep me logged in, that's great. Alright, so I'm going to go to the simple queuing service. What I'm going to do is, when the Lambda receives a message, it's going to send a message, or when it receives a command from the Amazon Echo, it's going to send a message or post a message on a queue that's going to be polled by the console application running on my phone, on my computer, sorry. So let's create a new queue, and we're going to call the queue monitor control queue. I'm not saying this is the best way of doing things, it's just a simple way of doing things. It won't work. That definitely won't work because I misspelled it. Monitor control queue. Alright. Do I need to change anything here? I want to enable something called long polling. I think I need to put this to 20. That's, in fact, I'm sure I need to do that. So that's going to create this queue called monitor control queue, and my console application is going to be able to poll the queue and wait for 20 seconds before returning. Alright. So now if I go back to my application here, my console application, or my side to my AWS Explorer, if I go to simple queue service, there's nothing there. Let's refresh. And then we have our monitor control queue. Great. So in order for my console application to be able to read from that, it needs to be able to deal with Amazon Web Services. Excuse me. So I'm going to add a NuGet package that lets me do stuff with AWS. If I search for SQS Simple Queuing Service, I think there might be an AWS There we go, simple queuing service, and that'll install the dependencies. So let's install that to my console application. Now, for my console application to be able to use AWS, it needs to know what account to work with. And if you remember in AWS Explorer here, I have default account and Wave Queue Reader. Wave Queue Reader is the one I created last weekend when I was doing the Z-Wave smart skill or smart home skill. And so I needed to essentially create a new user, or new profile I should say, that allows me to read from the monitor control queue. So let's go to the IAM. And go to users. I'm going to create a new user. He's called monitor. Monitor queue reader. Programmatic access. What do I want to do? I want to allow it to be able to read that queue. This is not what I want to allow admin access. So let's try creating a policy. Try policy generator. So the service is queue, simple queuing service. Action is to read from a queue. Actually, I want to be able to read and delete messages that are there. So I think I'm going to. I think once I don't remember what I need to do. It's definitely obviously read, yeah, and delete a message. Alright, and the resource name, that must be the resource name for the queue. And so if I go to the queue, how can I see its resource name? Oh, here we go. URL, that's not. Oh, here it is, resource name. Alright, so all I'm doing now is creating this policy. Lets me delete messages and receive messages from that queue. I'm going to give it, I don't quite like policy gem, so I'm going to say monitor control read policy. Probably definitely a bad policy name. Probably shouldn't be specifying my permissions in the policy name, but there we go. That's what I've done. I've created it called policy. Alright, now if I go back to my users, I think I have to start again. So I'm going to add a user, and it's called monitor programmatic access. It's going to attach an existing policy, and it's going to be the policy I created. Policy type, customer managed, monitor control. That's the one I just created. So this basically allows that user to do nothing but read from that queue and delete messages from that queue. Alright, so I'm going to call this. So now I'm going to go to my Visual Studio and add that profile. Add a profile, I'm going to call it the same name, monitor queue reader. The access key is this. And the secret key is, and you're going to see it, so I'm going to have to delete it later, that. Standard AWS account. Okay, so I now have this profile called monitor queue reader installed on my computer, and that's created some files somewhere on my computer. So now I can use that profile from my console application to read from the queue. So what I'm going to do next is initialize AWS in this console application, get it reading from the queue, and then try sending a test message to see if it receives the message. And then we'll be good. Then I can start sending the messages from the Lambda. Right, so let's going to do what everybody always does, which is going to Google AWS C# SQS example. So that looks like it might be a good one. Create a queue. I just want to receive a message from the queue. Thank you very much. Yeah, I need more than that because I want to create a client. Here we go. Let's start with that. That's a good start. So this is my main application. So I'm going to comment out the thing that switches off the monitor for now because that would be kind of painful if I turn it off in the middle of this recording. Let's see, can I pass the, how do I specify the profile? I'm guessing here. How do I specify the profile? I did do it before. Create an Amazon databases. Okay, here it is. So I need to create an app. So I need in my app config. I need to do a new something somewhere. So let's go to the Solution Explorer. See if I can find my app config. Config sections. Okay, so I need to copy this across. Alright. Except I don't think I copied everything across there because okay, that looks good. Profile name is, what did I call it? Monitor queue reader. Alright, so that configures who this program, or what credentials this program is running under. So I need the AWS config. Specifying the region, it's definitely not that one. It is definitely, if I go to here, oh here it's US East 1. ReSharper is telling me I can inline that, which I, nope. Oh, I can definitely use var, and I can use an object initializer. Right, now I go back to the example code. Here we have my SQS client. I can even just inline that. Alright, and now I want to read or open the queue and read from the queue. queue URL. It will go back to my SQS here, and here it was. So now I've done that, I can actually read the message. Let's go to the documentation again and see how to read the message. There we go. Except I'm pretty sure I want to specify the timeout. Let's use the object initializer. Timeout. Wait time seconds. 20. Wait for the longest amount of time possible. Okay, the message is received. And let's do console right line. Feeling I'm going to need to go async it right here. So I'm printing out the body. And let's loop on that. Alright, that built. Let's try running that and see what errors I'm getting. F5. Uninitialized. Over there. Type initializer. Only one config section element with configuration, so I screwed up my config, I guess. Let's go back to the documentation. So it was under the startup, then we had config sections. I don't see what's wrong. Okay, let's just config section AWS. What's the problem? Try running it again, see if I can get some more information from the only one config section allowed per config file, and if present must be a child of the root configuration. And well, I do only have one config section. I'm sure I'm doing something really stupid, but I can't for the life of me see what it is. Let's go back to the documentation. Oh, version 2 of the AWS SDK. Ugh. There you go. Okay, this stuff is all the same. Right. Doesn't look any different. Except the config sections is at the front. Could not load assembly AWS SDK, one of its dependencies. Okay. So maybe I need to add that as a NuGet package. This is a previous version. Oh, I see. AWS SDK.com. Okay, let's copy that name across. Alright. This time, I'm hopeful. Now it would have been silly of me to be hopeful. Invalid URL. Format of the URL could not be determined. Well, that's strange. Seems like a perfectly reasonable URL to me. Service URL, yes, so I need to put the proper service name in. There we go. Okay. So it should be US East London now. Alright. Let's see what goes on this time. Okay, it's waiting. Isn't that nice? Let's go to the SQL SQS console. Queue actions. Send the message. Hello. Received hello. Oh, great. So I should delete our message. I'll just delete it from the code. So I'll stop it running, and once it's received it, I need to delete it. URL is this guy. Receipt handle, I presume that's something that comes in the incoming message. Yeah, actually I can't delete it until I'm sure that I received a message, so let's say for each received messages. Receipt handle is message dot. There we go, receipt handle. Whew. Okay. Okay, so we are now, receiving a message. Not doing anything with it. Typos. Is that good now? Yep. So I receive the message. Now I've got to send the message from the Lambda. So this is the Lambda here. So this needs to be a AWS client as well, because it needs to use the simple queuing service to send the message. So let's go to the NuGet packages and add the simple queue service. Definitely accept whatever that was asking me. Okay. Now, when I get the term, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to send the message that's received to on the queue. So let's think, how is this going to be? I need to give this Lambda access to the queue. So let's do that first. Let's go to the console, to the Lambdas. And this is the monitor handler Lambda configuration. Where do I give it access? I'm in code, not configuration. So I'm going to create a new role that allows for Lambda execution, but also allows for writing to the queue. So let's go to IAM. Roles. Create a role. It's going to be based off of the Lambda one. Attach a policy. I'm going to be lazy and I'm going to modify the policy that I created a moment ago to also allow for writing. So customer managed. So I'm going to add this policy to the role. The role name is called Lambda monitor writer. Again, probably a disastrously bad name, but here we go. Alright. And now if I go back to my Lambda, I can create that role. Lambda monitor queue writer. Let's just save it. The only thing I haven't done is actually modified that role to allow for writing to the queue as well as reading and deleting. Or the role that I granted to that. Sorry, the policy that I granted to that role. So let's go to the policies and modify that policy to allow for not only reading and writing, but also not only for reading and deleting, but also for writing. See if I can work out how to do that. Here we go. How do I edit it? So action. I'm on the wrong policy, but that's kind of handy because I can see there that there's send message, but I shouldn't be in way away. That was one I created last weekend. Should be in this one here for monitor control. So I'll read what I can now know from looking at the other one that I just need to add send message. Validate the policy. Yep. Okay, so what I've done there is I've modified that policy I created for the profile that I'm using to run the console application. I modified it to allow it to send messages as well as receive and delete messages to that queue. And I've changed the Lambda so that it can send messages to that queue. So the handler Lambda, because the word it's using is this one here, which is essentially the same as the basic one, except it also lets me write to the queue. Alright, so that's that. Now if I go back to the Lambda here, what I want to do is send a message to the to my computer via simple queue service. So let's copy paste the client code over from over here. And copy it into the function. I'm going to deal with the turn off request. Okay, and I want to send a message. I've got to send message async, which means I need to make this async, which is fortunately very easy. So I wait it. And this is the request. So last weekend when I created the smart home skill for Z-Wave, what I actually did was just pass the input message as JSON to the program running on my PC, and then let it handle it. So I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to keep it simple. But let's turn off request. I think it's a string. Is that what you do? You pass a string? No, you pass the Q URL and then the message body. Okay. So the Q URL I know from over here. I should define it in a common class. No, it is a send message. Well, maybe it's overloaded. Is that the issue? Okay, yeah, I think it's overloaded, but that's good enough. What can I put in here to show that it's actually coming from the Lambda? Let's stringify the JSON. There is a limit on the message size. I'm hoping it's not going to be over it. It shouldn't be because it's pretty straightforward input. Alright. So this is my request Lambda that now should be sending a message over to the console application. Let's publish that. I'm in the wrong profile, I'm sure. I am. It's good, it shows it worked. So now when I tell Alexa to do something, it should actually send a message via the queue to my console application. So in order to do that, I need to run my application. What did I do? Was it the on or the off? I can't remember. It was the turn off. Okay. Let's try it. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Sorry, Bobby is not responding.
Okay, I'll try it one more time because sometimes these Lambdas take some time to spin up. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Bobby is not responding.
Bobby's not responding. Bobby, why aren't you responding? Alright, time to put some exception handling in. Just see what I'm doing here. It all looks okay, but I'm obviously not. So let's do a try catch. And the other. Alright, and let's try pushing that up so I can see what I've done wrong. Just look at the log and see if there's anything interesting in there. Oh, there was. Monitor queue, control queue is denied. Right. This is the monitor off handler Lambda. So before I run it again, I'm just going to check my configuration. Monitor queue, right, monitor off handler Lambda. Oh. Yeah, choose an existing role. Monitor off queue writer, that looks good to me. So let's just check monitor role. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. Oh. No, not. Okay, I'll screw something up. Monitor queue writer. So I don't know why it's got that policy there. I must have attached the wrong one. Only I saw it. Okay. In theory, I should be good now. Let's try again. It's the wrong place. Try running my app on my program. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Sorry, Bobby is not responding.
Oh, Bobby. Just told him. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Bobby is not responding.
Oh dear. Okay. Stop it. Okay. I'll get rid of these logs and then upload my one with the logging or the exception handler. Oh, let's look at the role. Maybe I'm overwriting the roles and uploading it. Lambda monitor queue writer. There we go, that's the one I want. Maybe that was the issue. Alright. Alexa? Nothing. I need to run my program first. Let's try it again. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Sorry, Bobby is not responding.
Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
Yay! You received the message, including the access token I'd hard-coded. The appliance is my computer monitor, and the name of the request is a turn off request. So at this point I could actually look at the name and turn off my computer monitor. I'm a little bit scared of what will happen to the screen capture software I'm using. If I what does this message do? Just does the monitor, so in theory I should be okay. But well, I'll try it in a second. What I'll do is I'll stop and start again. But let's just look at this message that was received. And if I go to the function that's sending it, what does it do? It just passes in where's the body? Oh, there we go, passes in hello plus that. I don't want that, I just want the JSON because I want to deserialize that JSON. So I'm going to copy that and paste that over to my program here. Excuse me. Here. I'm going to need JSON support in this console application. I can go back to my program now and all that there. So let's deserialize the message. So if we've got a off, so I'm just trying to find the turn off request. There we go. Then I would want to send this message to turn off my screen. Now, before I do that, I'm going to stop recording and start recording again with a new session, so that if it blows up when I turn off my monitor, if the screen capture software blows up, then I'll survive. Alright, so let's try running with the actual code to turn off my computer monitor. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Sorry, I couldn't find a device or group named Puppy and Damien's account.
Not Puppy, Bobby. Alexa, turn off Bobby. Alexa, turn off Bobby. Alexa, what time is it?
The time is 2:26 p.m.
Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
Oh, and I got an exception. I wonder why. Oh, is it because I still have that hello thing in there? I didn't upload my updated Lambda that just sends the JSON rather than hello and then the JSON. Let's upload that. Let's make sure the role, no, the role's, let me make sure the role is the correct one. Yeah, that wasn't right because it was the right to the queue. Okay. Let's try running again. Oh, and it still doesn't like the JSON. Okay, I'm going to need to basically make it ignore the JSON and delete the message until there's no more messages left. Oh no, it's not saying it. Let's try it again. How bizarre. Okay, one more time. I didn't receive the message. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
Okay, that was a good one. Obviously didn't have the hello in front of it because I'd updated the Lambda. So now, the moment of truth. In theory, when this runs, my computer monitors should all go dark. And I have no idea what's going to happen to the screen capture software. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
Gotta find the constructor for the type. Blah, blah, blah. Spot. Whisper. Why can't it deserialize it? Let's just see what I'm actually sending. Input. Smart home request response. That's strange. So we have a header and then a message ID. We have a header. What's our header defined? Some other kind of header. Alright. That's the problem. Interrupt messaging, I'm sure this is it. Alright. Let's go back over here and copy the real header that I want. Okay. Now we'll try. I received the message and turned off the monitor. Oh, and there was a message that was there already queued up, so let's try it again. Alexa, turn off Bobby.
Okay.
There we go, dark. I don't know if you can see that, but my monitor's all dark. So, that's basically it. You've seen me initially create the smart home definition, then create a Lambda that handles authentication, define the API gateway, which exposes that Lambda via HTTP, updated the smart home definition to use the endpoints, the HTTPS endpoints from the Lambda for getting a code and then translating that code into a token, the basic OAuth dance. And I modified that Lambda then to handle the HTTP GET and HTTP POST to do the OAuth stuff, although it's kind of a Mickey Mouse implementation purely for experimentation. And then we defined this Lambda that handles the device discovery and device control messages. And the device control messages, it passes over to a program running on my PC via simple queue services, and then that, in my case, switches off the monitor. So this is a basic framework. Obviously, you can go much further, and you'd want to be much more robust in a real environment. Hopefully, you realise that. But as a way for experimenting at home, I hope this points you in the right direction. What's really nice, what I really like about this is that all the code is sitting inside Visual Studio. You know, I have my control code, I have my lambdas, and so it's a very nice way of developing. Alright, hope this has been useful. Bye.